will be off in a moment. There we go. And it does look like we have another player ready for the next match. I'll be revealing that once we finish up this one. For now, it's it's gonna be IG versus Eldar. Always be quite interesting to see what the tricksy Eldar is gonna be doing against the versatility of the IG. Oftentimes you'll see the heavy shuriken play or heavy ranger play in order to counter the shuriken platforms. Of course, rangers aren't going to be able to do a whole lot against guardsmen. Those are pretty much the unit you want to be sniping the least. So it's it could pretty much anything could happen. I'm very much looking forward to this match, as is pretty much the norm at this point, I guess. Oh, looks like we have a bit of a pop up here. That's not meant to happen. And we are off. In the blue corner up here in the top, we have RagingJenni again with the Inquisitor. And down here at the bottom in the red corner, we have the Eldar Warlock, played by Riku. And it does look like Riku's gonna be going for an early VP dominance by sending in his Warlock to cap that point, while RagingJenni instead opts to go for the early. It's probably gonna be the Retribution part of that path. We do have the first Sentinel out, of course. You'll pretty much always want one unless you're an idiot like I am. I'm sorry to anyone trying to play Sentinel less. I do keep trying, but I've not been successful. Mad respect to any of you who can actually make a non-Sentinel IG work. It's not easy in certain matchups. That's my experience of it. Anyway, Warlock is being extremely aggressive though. He's pretty much just zipped past this hero Sentinel and is now chopping on the guardsman. Jenny does manage to bring in a nice storm, and here's both the Inquisitor and the guardsman. There's the hammer of the Inquisition, and that Warlock is getting on right on out of there. Jenny has used a lot of his forces to tie up that Warlock though, and here comes the Guardians bringing in a bit of trouble. We already have a bit of an name-calling going on here. This is fun, doesn't really matter. And a very nice use of the Sentinel here. You'll notice that it actually broke the cover the Guardians were using in that firefight, which is, well, as you can imagine, Guardians are very squishy, especially without battle equipment and before they get their Warlock. So they pretty much decided to get on right on out of there right away. Sentinels can be very useful in that regard, even when they're stumbled on cooldown. Definitely a good thing to keep in mind. One should never underestimate the effects of cover in a ranged versus ranged firefight. And it does look like Riku is gonna opt for a shuriken platform in order to both counter these guardsmen and the sentinel, at least trying to keep it at bay. As mentioned, it's usually a toss-up between ranges and the shuriken platform, although I do believe double shuriken is one of the more well-known tactics. There's the wow, that destructor pretty much did nothing to those guardsmen. It's in my experience, it seems like it's a rather unreliable ability sometimes. Good Eldar players probably have a better feeling about when it's gonna be doing a lot, and that's not saying anything against Riku. Don't get me wrong, I have no idea how much of an Eldar player he is, but yeah, sometimes the destructor does a ton of damage, but other times, like the one we just saw, it really wasn't effective at all. This Inquisitor is just going to be taking these Guardians all day, every day. They don't have battle equipment coming out anytime soon, so they're just going to be taking hits from both the plasma pistol and every hit whenever she catches up. We do, however, have this Guardian squad here with the battle equipment, which is of course a very important upgrade. They did use it to shield this shuriken platform, and it's going to reset up before the shuriken can... This sentinel can get over and flank it. It is in a good position now, but it is, however, unable to use the shield, and this sentinel is also in a good position to shoot the Guardians without getting flanked. Riku is going to have to be careful though. This shuriken platform is just about not going to be able to get any hits off, and we do have a very nice flank by Jenny here, who has flanked this shield pretty much perfectly. We do, however, have the Immolator out, which completely destroys that turret Emulator is so very, very good against turrets early on. Even the hardier turrets, such as the ones built by the Tech Marine and Plague Marine, go down very easily to that ability. So the very, very squishy IG turret, you can imagine that thing just burns to the ground right away. Pretty much no chance of saving that. You do have grenades on these Guardians though, so those guardsmen are gonna have to be careful. Looks like they're gonna be charging in there, throwing the grenade. I wonder if Jenni's... Nope, it was just used to the foot to get closer. Jenni does see it, dodges it, no problem, and those Guardians are gonna have to get out of there. This here Sentinel has taken some damage, and with the Emulator now out, those Guardsmen are gonna start hurting pretty badly per hit. You know, every time the Emulator blade hits, it's gonna be doing a bit of a damage over time effect on the Guardsmen. Although I don't believe it's squad-wide. If the unit she strikes dies, the effect is gonna end. The Sentinel is here rather dangerous. He uses the catechins to knock it over, and I don't think this was a good idea. He's gonna get off the stump, but here it goes down. You have to be really careful about those sentinels. Sometimes it's just not worth it to charge in. Was rather low on health, and question is if this well, I wouldn't call it a really early sentinel loss, but you'll definitely want to keep them alive until at least tier 2, I think. It's still a blow to RagingJenni, so we'll see how he's gonna be able to recover from that. Looks like Dark Riku is reaching tier 2. First, there's the explosive shot to knock everyone away from this here shield, and the Inquisitor is gonna make it in time to tie down the shuriken platform, and it's gonna have to get on out of there. Meanwhile, the catechins are now approaching. They're gonna be doing decent amount of damage. That grenade would have been devastating. The thing about catechins, as you can see, is they have a very, very tight formation. AoE attacks are so deadly against them, but they are gonna be able to dodge grenades nicely, and that is very much what I like to see here. He's planted a booby trap right there and around one of the shields, so if Dark Riku is gonna be using that shield again, he's gonna be in for a world of hurt. He hasn't gotten any rangers out, which is gonna make it very dangerous for him to move along. Those guardsmen are gonna have to be careful. I'm fairly sure even with a sergeant, they are not gonna be able to win in a melee fight against even guardians, which tells you how terrible guardsmen really are at melee. I'm fairly certain at one point I've had a guardsman squad with a sergeant melee my looters. I managed to flank those somehow, and the looters pretty much kicked them to death. True story. It's I know. One has to wonder what the hell those guys are doing with a bayonet if an orc strapping a huge gun at his shoulders can actually kick them to death. That's just sad. This Inquisitor isn't gonna be able to win against the Warlock, as the Warlock does have an advantage in war gear. And it looks like we have a bit of a calm before the storm. Dark Riku is now getting out the Wraith Guard, which are a very troublesome unit for the IG indeed. I do believe Ogrins counter them rather well if they're not suppressed or something like that. But you definitely need to be careful about them. Pretty much only takes one nice barrage to reduce pretty much any of the squads RagingJenni has at the moment to a pile of rubble. Yeah, humans are gonna give into rubble from Wraith Guard. It's that bad. I am not making any sense right now, am I? Oh well. Question is, maybe Riku has actually seen that saw that this trap was set up. He's certainly not using this particular shield at the moment. Instead, opting to go for this more forward position, which very nicely covers the middle requisition point. Victory point wise, we're well, Dark Riku is still in the lead, and it does kind of feel like well, RagingJenni is gonna be capping the right side point and be getting some getting back, but at the moment it doesn't really have a counter for both. These Wraith Guard are very powerful in combination with shuriken platforms indeed, since well, the problem with Wraith Guard of course is that they're not gonna be able to hit anything that's on the move. And here's a bit of an interesting trivia. You don't actually need the Warlock leader to get a speed boost, as you can see. As long as there's a Warlock anywhere, which in this case are these Guardians, these guys are gonna be moving at the boosted speed. You can see the difference here with these particular Wraith Guards are not nearby, and oh dear, looks like we do have RagingJenni's answer to this whole ordeal. Gotten out one of them manticores here. Those catachans, oh dear, look at that. Pretty much only one shot hit those catachans. They're gonna have to get out of there before the next barrage. Oh, they took so much damage. This is just crazy though. They had around 9 hit points at one point and then 3 members left. Although I wouldn't say it was fortunate to get hit by that barrage. I think RagingJenni was very fortunate that those guys managed to get out of there alive. Of course, at the moment those Wraith Guard aren't gonna be able to do whatever the hell they want at this stage. And well, as long as the Manticore isn't ready, he could probably be bashing this entire gen farm, no problem. There's the barrage though. Yeah, those Wraith Guards have no chance of moving out of there. One of them goes down to the barrage. Dark Riku's gotten a very nice map control at this point though. He's pretty much pushed RagingJenni to all his natural points and even decapped a few of those. Pretty much only got power situations pretty decent, but yeah, it definitely needs. He's got a lot of things, different things he needs to counter now. There's both a Falcon out at the moment, and there's these Wraith Guards who are very dangerous in their own right. He does have a Chimera out, which is gonna give his Guardsman a much better fighting chance, and he's also got at least one Commissar out at this point. They're just gonna keep on trucking. Thing is, he should have vision of these guys, so the question is, yeah, looks like we do have another Manticore strike, and it does manage to get up. Oh, that was just beautiful. Amazing shot there by the Manticore, completely taking out that Falcon in a single barrage. That was some pretty nice guesswork there. I was fairly certain he was going to be missing that one. That certainly turned things around quite a bit. These Wraith Guards are pretty much uncountered at the moment. I mean, sure, the Guardsmen can tie them up, but we do still have these Guardians who are going to be able to deal with them nicely. There's a Chimera though. These Guardsmen are just going to keep on being in melee and forcing these Wraith Guards to not be able to fire on the Chimera, which is pretty much the sign of the battle at this point. Of course, now we do have this with the Shuriken platform supporting. They're going to have to get on out of there. And it looked like RagingJenni was actually using these this Chimera in order to get his Catachan into melee range. He doesn't opt to use his explosive at this point, which makes sense since none of the Guardians were nearby. He does plan another one, but it wasn't the side of Riku, so he might have seen that something was fishing. Question if he's gonna be trying to avoid this lane entirely, or if he's gonna stick to the right side where we already have a trap going on. Be very interesting indeed. Looks like I missed a bit of a barrage going on there. Which is definitely a shame. I have no idea where it hit actually. That's the thing about the barrage. It can pretty much fire anywhere where RagingJenni has a line of sight, and it's very good for taking out ninja cappers in particular. At this point, looks like Dark Riku has decided to go the safe route and has invested in some rangers to take out these traps. It's very fortunate for him, since, as mentioned, if he knew there was a trap here, he was probably going to be sticking over to the right side, and well, that was going to be trouble. These traps can take a fair amount of fire, considering all things considered, but they are down now, and they're going to be far less effective from this point on. It's quite likely that Jenny is probably not going to be using all that much, although they do remain very nice victory point guards. Still nothing really to counter the second Falcon that's come out. He's got of course the Manticore, but Riku knows that, and he's going to be very, very careful about controlling his Manticore. Looks like we have a bit of capping going on. Question is, oh, it looks like we have a bit of firing going on, and it's going for the Wraith Guards here. It's not really hitting anything though. It did a few good hits off. They were about to fire, but they are gonna get caught in melee. But I think he's gonna be jumping him into the Falcon to avoid these Catachans in particular. And yeah, he does manage to get them in there very nicely. These Guardsmen are gonna have to start running real soon. They are taking a ton of damage, and off they go. We do have a. I do believe that was a shield going down there. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Those Catachans are going to be bleeding pretty badly. And they are expensive to reinforce. 33 requisition and 3 power for each, so you do not want them in this kind of meat grinder scenario, especially when the Wraith Guard can now start firing. Inquisitor is trying to do a decent job, but cannot both tie up this here Shuriken platform and the Wraith Guard. Riku is doing a very nice job at keeping these alive though, and also using this... oh, there's the Manticore again, and it completely destroys the Falcon, which was pretty much stuck trying to keep everything alive. And these Wraith Guards are in a lot of trouble at this point. They are so low in health, but the The tables have pretty much turned at this point. This Chimera cannot stand up to any more fighting. He does not have any units who can actually tie it up in melee at this point without taking hit. It does look like they're going to be trying to repair. There's the Infernal Strike, and it might just be... No, it's not going to be not going to be quite enough to actually take that. Oh my god, that was probably one of the most devastating attacks I've ever seen. Everything died there. Both the Chimera and both Guardsman squad. What a loss for RagingJenni. I'm really curious to see if he's going to be able to recover from that. And it's such a shame too, since the Wraithguard was only down to like 30 hit points at that point. If he only managed to not get blown to bits there, he would probably have at least covered some of the losses there. But he is in a world of trouble right now. Dark Riku has the majority of the victory points at this stage, and RagingJenni is far away requisition-wise from actually getting a new squad. Thing about that kind of Chimera plays, of course, you're simply not gonna have the requisition if you are an auto-reinforced for a long time, particularly with units such as these Catachan Devils who took a lot of damage fighting. Looks like we're gonna have this Shuriken platform is gonna be trying to cap here, but yeah, that's definitely the danger about having a transport. If there's some AoE going on there, all your units are gonna be clumped in the same spot when the thing explodes, and yeah. Looks like we're gonna have a bit of an ambush here. The Catachans are of course excellent at that. I think that Dark Riku sees the danger though, and yeah, here comes the Catachans. They are gonna be in trouble though. Oh, there's a grenade. It manages to graze one of the squads, but the thing is, Catachans, while they're decent in melee, they do not have any particular anti-vehicle. Well, not anti-vehicle. They do not have a melee charge, unfortunately, which means they're not going to catch anything that's actually chasing them. We do have a Stormtrooper call in though, which is a pretty interesting choice. I'm not sure if he's what he intends to do with those. He does know there's Rangers out, so melter troops are going to be very dangerous. But I think at this point he's just dangerous to have any kind of troops going on. Riku's not taking any chances of bringing in his Rangers, and do spot this trap before it does any damage. Although booby traps really do very suboptimal damage against Guardians when the Warlock comes out. He just adds an incredible amount of survivability to Guardian. Looks like we have a Manticore Blast going on here though. Riku spots it, and they are getting out of there, no problem whatsoever. A decent destructor, they're taking down one of these Stormtroopers. They're gonna have to get out of there, but the Warlock is gonna get in melee range, misses a special attack, and yeah, it looks like the Stormtroopers actually managed to stuff away. Sometimes it can be really difficult to get away before you from a melee squad, but you pretty much just have to avoid a special attack while they're stealthing and you're good to go. I'm having a hard time seeing how RagingJenni is gonna be able to beat this. So we now have an avatar coming out for Dark Riku as well, and I think that's gonna be sealing the game. There is no way that these Stormtroopers and Catachans are gonna be able to stand up on the avatar, even if it was alone, and Riku still has pretty much his entire army left. That Chimera and Guardsman loss pretty much sealed the deal there, sadly. Not to mention Dark Riku has a ton of red at this point, so if he ever got in trouble, he does have his globals available, such as the what's it called? The field that reduces range damage. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering names right now. Of course, there's the... Yeah, I think that was actually the global speed ability there, saving energy. This Inquisitor isn't gonna get anything done, and well, while RagingJenni still retains map control over this here victory point and does have power farm intact. Finally saved up for the Ogrins, who are gonna be a decent counter against pretty much anything that isn't a Shuriken platform. They do not quite have the durability to stand up to what's that face? These Catachans are gonna do a decent amount of damage to this Wraithguard. It's actually gonna be a bit of trouble. Jenny wisely stops and fires, but it does look like it's gonna make it out safely. Meanwhile, this avatar has pretty much had it with this Manticore at this point, I believe. It has gotten off a few very nice shots off and killed 2 Falcons, so you can't really blame Dark Riku for wanting to end that thing by now. These Guardians are pretty much just charging in there at full speed, but they do not have the energy to throw any grenades, so they're not gonna get anything done. There's the Ogrins, and they are just coming out just in time as this avatar is beating down on this Manticore. It's not gonna survive this anytime soon. So retreating from this ability here. But now Riku has a full 3-point cap, and yeah, even though RagingJenni does have some anti-vehicle capabilities out, he's not gonna be. I don't think he's gonna be able to even. If Riku doesn't pull out this avatar, he's barely gonna be able to kill it before time passes. I don't think these catechins can handle the Warlock on their own either, but well, that depends actually. It looks like, depending on how Riku uses his ability. No, he's actually gonna be going into melee. I think that's a mistake. He doesn't really have the tanky abilities. So they're just gonna be chopping down. There's the auto call in though. But oh my, looks like this avatar has actually taken a ton of damage at this point. Looks like it was proven completely wrong. There's the Eldritch Storm though. It might. It's only got one target though, and it looks like these Ogrins are actually going to be surviving that. The Autarch has been called in though, and is just going to be chopping down these catechins before they can finish capping, I believe. So yeah, the avatar goes down, but of course at this point it doesn't really matter. Victory points control is pretty much in Dark Riku's favor, and that's gonna be a GG right there. Well played by both players. It was a very, very close match, I found, until that particular Chimera incident. That pretty much destroyed Jenni's chances of retaining map control. Riftguard are definitely a very, very potent unit, particularly against IG, but GG and very well played. Like I have a few things going on in the background. And looks like we have another player going on here. Let's see if I can actually invite text to the game here. Just gonna have to stop this.